Welcome back to the Capital Compass. We're joined by Managing Director of Prospect Resources, Sam Hosak, who's come all the way to Perth from Zimbabwe for the Africa Down Under Conference. Welcome, Sam.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Now, as mentioned, you're in Perth for ADU, just up the terrace. How has the response been?
Sure. Look, it's great to be back for Africa Down Under. Great focus as usual on Africa, and that's obviously a big thematic with us. And this year we're focusing on Zambia with our Mumbezhi copper project. So this year we're joined, and it's important to be joined here by strong contingents from Zambia. So we've got ZCCMIH. They are the state-owned mining company, copper mining company. They're a listed company, interestingly enough. They take minority as well as majority stakes in companies. They're an investment arm and listed in London, France, and I think they just capped $1 billion. So they're a powerhouse in their own right. They're here marketing. We are co-marketing. So Zambia's had a lot of attention. We've had the ambassador to Australia, the Zambian ambassador, His Excellency, permanent secretary. So it's been great to show the importance to Australia over Zambia.
You had news out at the start of the week. What does this mean for the company?
Well, we're in the middle of quite an extensive drill program. It's extensive and intensive, so we're right in the thick of it. This is the period with which our site's at its highest activity level. We've got drilling, we've got geochemistry, which is soil sampling, we've got geophysics, which is airborne flying with a helicopter. So this is a great time to be updating everyone on what we're doing. The objective is kind of important to nuance or to add context. So we obviously have a deposit around Nyungu Central and Kabikupa, and we're drilling those along extensions and strike and dip, and that's been really pleasing. That's a drilling element. But through our partnership with First Quantum Minerals, we've agreed to do a far more extensive site-wide airborne geophysics, which is an analog for what they did at Sentinel. So we sort of have pulled out the playbook. They've pulled out the playbook. They've said, this is what works. This is what we did. You've got your targets. They're amazing targets, but what about the other 300 square kilometers? So that's the kind of two lanes, right? We've got to look at the airborne work, the remote sensing, the geochemistry, and also develop targets from it. And we've recently just disclosed that we found the West Mumbezhi target. We've discovered it through these techniques I've talked about. They're very technical, but they're important for us. Now we're drilling the West Mumbezhi target. Now to be in a position to put a diamond rig on a target is a very exciting time for an exploration company. So now we're on our third target. We've got two great targets that we're drilling out, and a third which has a very significant illuminated target all over it. So it's pretty exciting. That's what we've just announced.
Now, you're just over 3/4 of the way through this current phase of drilling. What is the ideal outcome here?
That's a good question. I'll try to speak in moderate terms, but we drilled out a maiden resource of 107 million tons. We have an exploration target of 400 to 1 billion tons. Those are really big numbers. And so we're using this program, it's 18,000 meters. We're using this program to go, in our mind, to double the resource, maybe get ourselves to closer to 200 million tons. And that is a very material point to aim for. For those who can remember Sentinel, that was a sort of starting point for Sentinel. For those who can remember Lumwana, with Equinox, that was a starting point for Equinox. So I would probably describe that as the major league. At the moment, we're exploring, we're excited, we've got known mineralization, lots of shareholder engagement, but this year our plan is to really clock into the major league.
So you're actually living in country. How does the African mining landscape compare to that of Australia?
Well, I'm actually in Harare, which is regionally adjacent to Lusaka, so it's an hour flight. So I spend a lot of time in Lusaka, where we have an office, and I spend a lot of time on site, which is about an hour further. It's a lot closer, and I do a lot more travel, but much shorter legs. And I felt the strength of being on the ground was being in a position to lead some of the work. We obviously disposed of the Arcadia lithium mine when we look back 3 or 4 years. We did a fantastic capital return. We sort of got lots of applause from our shareholders. But then we sat in a situation where we needed to rebuild our business. And our business is all about people. So We kept the people, we kept the team. We started talking about Prospect 2.0. We had a balance sheet to go looking for a target, and we pivoted naturally to copper. And if you're looking for copper, you need to be in Zambia. So we did a lot of work in Zambia. I did early in my career, about 7 years. So I know Zambia very well. I know the region that we're in quite well. And so to compare it to Australia wouldn't be difficult. I mean, we've got major mines there, like copper mines that look like iron ore mines. Sentinel, 65 million tons per annum, a little bit smaller than Roy Hill. We've got Barrick Lumwana. It's going to be the largest pit in Africa. And these are our neighbors. So to compare it would be to look at the scale of iron ore, I would say, logistics, lots of human movements, huge employment opportunities, and lots of digging.
Mumbezhi is, of course, the focus for now, and you just mentioned Arcadia. If Mumbezhi was to go the way of Arcadia, where could you see the company going next?
Our focus, or our target fixation, if that's a word, is really around creating options within Mumbezhi. So it's a big license. We converted it earlier this year into two mining licenses, a northern and a southern, and that allows a little bit of flexibility. It's possible, for example, that perhaps on the northern license you enter some sort of production sharing agreement. You could vend it, or you could continue to develop it. Each of those gives the company an income opportunity that we need. We're a non-income generating company, but we're very good at spending money and creating shareholder value. So I think within Mumbezhi, I think we need to explain that there are quite a few permutations on what could happen. Commercial options. For those who followed us at Arcadia will know that there were multiple options that we were running in parallel. And I think it's that type of tension, knowing that you have more than one option, that allows you to get the best out of your asset. And we're trying to get the best out of Mumbezhi. And so I think that's where our focus is.
Well, no, it's good to be fully committed in for the long haul, if you would. Now, Sam, do you have any final thoughts or messages for investors?
Most of what I've been messaging recently is trying to help our investors here in Australia understand Zambia better. Zambia is in the center of Southern Africa. It's probably on the top 3 or 4 investable countries on the Fraser Institute for Africa. So we're looking at a country that's had over a century of copper mining. It's a copper powerhouse. It's got incredible policies. They've really pivoted in the last, I'd say, 4 years, and really gone investor focus and said, look, where are the investors going, and how do we get them to Zambia? It's required quite a extensive overhaul of the policy and investment framework, and that's allowed companies like First Quantum to put $1 billion or $1.25 billion into Kansanshi. Barrick's putting a couple of $1 billion. They're big numbers into Lumwana. So we're seeing a massive interest from foreign direct investment, not only from ourselves, but we're seeing exploration really pumping in the country. We need to put Zambia on the map, and it is already on the map, but it's probably not as well known in Australia as we would have thought. We've got Barrick, which is not an ASX company. We've got First Quantum, which is not an ASX company. So I think we're trying to get eyes on Zambia. We're trying to point out that this is a stable country. It's a peaceful country. It's a democratic country. Policies are great. I think once people figure that out and dovetail that with the potential of Mumbezhi, they can see why we're so excited and why FQM's excited about our asset, because I think that's the objective of my trip.
Well, thank you for joining us today, Sam, and safe travels home.
Thank you very much for having me.